Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the South Australia Museum for the official announcement of the winning entries of this year's Australian Geographic Nature Photographer of the Year. And I'm Brian Oldman, I'm Director of the South Australia Museum, and tonight's launch is by necessity a little different to previous years, but perhaps there's no harm in that at all. The current COVID-19 restrictions and border closures have prevented us from many of our photographers and usual guests from attending, but I would like to extend a really warm welcome to those guests who've made it here tonight. And as a first for the South Australia Museum, we're live streaming this event. So I also extend that very warm welcome to those of you who are tuning in from further afield. We know you're out there in spirit and we can feel you through the digital airwaves. So a very warm welcome to all of you who are attending tonight's event, whether you're here in person or you are attending through digital channels. And it's now my great pleasure to introduce a really great friend of the museum, Uncle Mickey O'Brien. And Uncle Mickey's people, the Kaurna people, have been the traditional owners of this land for tens and tens of thousands of years. And I would now like to ask him to perform the welcome to his very special country. Thank you.
Nay, tell you, Brian, you make me sound really old, though. Twila Maniputnik! Twila Wakanapadnik! Ngai gana beka mankalangla, marawachanga gana mina, nai nari kamatpi maricha, nai wangadi mani na budni gana yatana, yirndi yatta, tenendanga, Sam Cook, Photographic of the Year. Also, what I really want to say is it's wonderful to be back here at the museum and to be a part of these wonderful events and opportunities to not only to welcome you but to share in the culture. And so tonight we call upon the spirit people of my ancestors. I do that as an ambassador of the Kaurna people, and I'm also known as the impatient one, and a name that was given to me by my father. Oddly enough, it has another meaning quick, but I was known to be quick on the football field, but sadly I didn't get it because of that. But it's also wonderful because I had the privilege earlier, just after the COVID relaxing here in South Australia, of doing a full smoking ceremony of the museum to bring all of those great spirits upon you and to those who come here and to give it that great blessing and to give it that new beginning again. And I'm hoping that you do feel that great spirit upon you whilst you're here in this place. And like a welcome is, it's saying, are you well when you come to a place? And I hope you are well. And that was really important because you never went to a place unless you were well. And particularly in this time of pandemics, we should understand that even more. And so our people also said that your face tells you where you've been, but your heart tells you where to go. Because we can fill our heads with knowledge and wisdom, but it's what we share through our hearts that's really important. And I know what you're probably thinking. You're saying, where have I seen this handsome gentleman before? Probably the back paper of the newspaper, trying to get you to go to the front of the newspaper, because last week was the Indigenous rounds of the Port Adelaide, my favourite club, and it's also the Premier's Club, and I think he's going to announce that we got the grand final here, but I don't know, maybe, hopefully. But I do want to share something with you, and I want to share a story about perspectives. And that's really important because this young person didn't really get the understanding of values. And so his father took him to an Aboriginal community to try and give him that understanding of values and really a different perspective of life, of a privileged life. And so they spent a fair bit of time on this community. And the father had hoped that he would get some knowledge and wisdom out of this experience. And on the way home, as they were driving in the car, the father was worried because his son had said nothing to him through the whole time of this experience. And as they were driving home, all of a sudden his son spoke up. And he said, "Dad, I'm glad you took me there. the father's eyes lit up. He's thinking, wow, he's going to say something fantastic here and inspiring and really give me that real sense of value in his son. And he said, yes, Dad. He said, I'm glad you took me there. He said, I didn't know how bad we had it until we went to that community. And the father's eyes had dropped and he's thinking, how bad we had it. What did you see that I didn't see? He said, Dad, he said, you know, when you looked at their community, their land stretched as far as the eye could see. He said, those rivers that were there, he said, they went for miles and miles and miles. He said, there were more animals out there than you could poke a stick at. And he kept on going on and on about all of these things. And he said to him that, you know, in our house, you know, we've got a swimming pool and we've got a fence that borders our home, and we've got one dog and one cat. And so the father was really shocked at hearing what he had said, because what he was really seeing was this perspective of quantity. He wasn't seeing this perspective of the fact that they owned all of those things, that the land that the community was living upon, they didn't own the land owned them. Those animals were a part of that land, so was those waters. And so in life we can get a different perspective. And like these photographs, they can give us a great perspective. An eye through the photographer, through the caption of those particular objects or animals or places that they take these photographs. So I hope that you not only have a good perspective on life, but see the perspective of the photographer in the images they present to us tonight. So I leave you these words. Mayunjiga, Mayanjiga, Nachu Yukandaya, Nachu Yakandaya, Padniadu, Wadu, which is saying we are all brothers and sisters. Culture should never divide, should always bring us together, and that when we walk the land and observe and listen, it enables us to do it as people that coming together in harmony. Never say goodbye, always say see you later. So nakada, nechaya, and please enjoy the spirit of this place. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uncle Mickey. And as always, you tell us heartwarming stories, but in those stories are the most important messages. So thank you, Uncle Mickey. I'd also like to welcome and acknowledge the Honourable Stephen Marshall, Premier of South Australia, who joins us this evening, the Honourable Rachel Sanderson, the Minister for Child Protection, and Jane Stinson, the Shadow Minister for Child Protection and the Arts. I'd like to welcome all members of the Museum and Foundation board members, and I'd particularly like to welcome Terry Whiting in her first official function as Chair of the Museum Board, but also warmly acknowledge Jane Lomax-Smith, who has been Chair of the Museum Board for 9 years and who stepped down after 9 incredible years just a couple of weeks ago. So welcome, Jane. And also to Mary Sutherland, who's chair of our foundation board. We have Tim Jarvis AM, Australian adventurer, environmentalist, and many other things as well. And we also have some really valued supporters here tonight. We have Professor Margaret Davey and also Karen Thomas of Denton's Fisher Jeffreys. Thank you so much for your very valuable and ongoing support, which is very much appreciated. I'd also acknowledge the dedication and, can I say, incredible patience of this year's competition judges, Michael O, Drew Hopper, and Georgina Steitler. And these three, just so you know, they sit in a darkened room for 2 days, going and debating through every single photograph that is submitted. And at the end of those 2 days, they're still speaking to each other, which I find quite incredible. But they are really true experts, and can I say, they've had a very tough job this year, but have done a truly excellent job. I would also like to thank our principal sponsor, Australian Geographic, and we have a new sponsor of the Threatened Species category, the Foundation of Parks and Wildlife. So welcome on board. And also continuing to have a close association with nature photographer is Atkins, Visualcom, Floodlight Media, Exceptional Kangaroo Island, and Australian Wildlife Journeys, who are providing a truly excellent prize for our People's Choice competition. And also our event partners whose services and provisions I think some of you are very much enjoying this evening. Australian Hiring Company, Scene Change, Naringa Wine, Smiling Samoyed and Finsbury Green. And finally, and actually if it wasn't for this, none of us actually would be here, I'd like to make a very special mention of our patrons, Dr. Stuart Miller AM and his sister, Mrs. Alison Huber, who is with us here tonight. Welcome, Alison. And Stuart and Alison generously support the prize each year in memory of their parents, Dr. Robert and Mrs. Clarice Miller, and we thank them for their ongoing support of the competition. And just to put it in a nutshell, it was actually the whole idea of a nature photography exhibition that covered Australia, New Zealand, Antarctica and New Guinea was Dr. Stuart Miller's original idea. He got it off the ground and made it into a successful competition, and he looked for an institution that could take on it as an ongoing competition, and I'm really grateful that he chose the South Australian Museum. So it's through really his genesis of this that we have it tonight. But now it's my pleasure to introduce an environmental scientist, author and explorer, Tim Jarvis, who is here to speak on behalf of our principal sponsor, Australian Geographic. So welcome, Tim.
Thank you very much, Brian. I spoke to Chrissy at Australian Geographic and she said, can you please say a few words? You've got 3 minutes officially. I normally go for 6. Please don't go beyond 5, so I'm going to aim for 4. I should start by extending my warm welcome to everyone who's come, along with that of Brian, and I'm no doubt the Premier when he speaks after me. I'm here in kind of 2 capacities, I guess. First of all, as a member of the public who routinely puts a spot in the diary to come to this event every year and frankly just marvel at the quality of the images that we see that the men and women and boys and girls provide to this exhibition. It's truly remarkable, taken from someone who attempts to do the same but does it far less well than they do. And the second role is really to just say a few words on behalf of Australian Geographic. Like I say, I don't have very much time to do that. But they would of course be with us here tonight were it not for the COVID travel restrictions. So from Chrissy Goldbrick and Joe Runciman at the Australian Geographic team, they are here with you in spirit and wish all the award recipients and all the competitors all the best in the competition from them. So please take that officially from me on their behalf. This is my second event this week. The first one was speaking and judging a competition at Unley Primary School for the written word that my 9 and 10-year-olds were involved with. And the interesting thing was that they were meant to be extolling the benefits of the written word to conjure up a real emotion in people and instill a sense of urgency over whatever the issue was they were trying to convey. And every single child who put together a PowerPoint presentation used spectacular images to convey their message. They didn't appreciate, of course, the irony of this because it was all about the written word, but what it did serve to do was to showcase just how important visual imagery is in instilling a sense of emotion in us all. After all, a picture does genuinely speak 1,000 words. So very, very important on that score. This is something I've experienced myself. I attempt to use images of places to which I travel and stories and statistics of journeys to Antarctica and places like that to instill a sense of ownership and urgency around the issue of climate change. And I remember very clearly when I beamed in images and statistics and stories and numbers to the climate change talks in Paris in December 15, I'd put together all this great portfolio of statistics and information that supported the cause of how humans were causing climate change and the equatorial glaciers were declining as a result. And the thing that really made the penny drop for everybody there was an image of Africa's largest ice cap, original photograph taken in 1906, my photograph taken in 2015, exactly the same perspective, ran a little transition over 8 seconds that showed 95% of that ice disappearing before your eyes, and the penny dropped for everybody. It's those images that really speak volumes, and that's what this competition, to an extent, is really all about. It's about the power of the people who take these images to capture nature and all its wonder, and it's really a remarkable skill to be able to take a snapshot of nature and convey whatever it is they're trying to convey. It can be a sense of outrage at what's happening to nature. It can be a sense of wonder, a sense of joy at what we're experiencing. And they take us on this huge emotional journey with the ability to do so via the lens of the camera, something I'm eternally envious of as someone who tries to do the same. So without further ado, I think that's probably 3.5 or even 4 minutes. I will get out of the way so we can find out who the award recipients are. But I should first of all say everybody who is involved in this exhibition should be rightfully proud of the fact that their work is up on the walls of the museum. And I should say also a special thanks to South Australian Museum on behalf of myself and also Australian Geographic, to everyone, Brian's team, Tim Gilchrist and the rest of the team, for all the tremendous work they do. And to say that as we are now in the 3rd decade of Anzac, quite officially, there has never been a more important time for this exhibition or the work that the people do whose images we see on the walls of the exhibition in conveying both the beauty and the fragility of the nature and the importance of us doing more to try and protect it. Thank you very much. That's 4 minutes. Bye.
Thank you, Tim. You quite brilliantly encapsulated everything that this competition is about. And unlike the rest of us, you've actually been there. So thank you so much for those such appropriate words. And also to thank Australian Geographic, of course, for their continued support of this competition. But this year we're also pleased to welcome a brand new sponsor for our threatened species category, and the Foundation for National Parks and Wildlife. And it's wonderful to have you on board. As you can see, you've joined a really happy but very important family. So please join me in welcoming Kylie Piper, National Projects and Education Manager, to the stage. Welcome, Kylie.
Thank you very much. I hope my written word makes the 9 and 10-year-olds of Unley proud. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the Kaurna people, the traditional owners of the land in which we meet, and I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands through which we've passed to be here tonight. On behalf of the Foundation for National Parks and Wildlife, I'd like to thank Australian Geographic and the South Australian Museum for the opportunity to be part of this amazing event. The mission for the Foundation is growing parks and saving species, and we're proud to be supporting the Threatened Species category of the Nature Photographer of the Year competition. Like both Australian Geographic and the South Australian Museum, our role is to promote and communicate about Australia's unique natural heritage and ignite the curiosity that we all have to learn more about the world in which we live. We've noticed through this strange time of COVID, through lockdowns and social distancing, there's been an increased interest in nature through our Backyard Buddies website, and I'm sure both Australian Geographic and the museum have seen the same through their own platforms. As the sound of the human world has quieted and the pace has slowed, with it the natural world has become more visible to many. This has given people across Australia and around the world the time and the opportunity to see and experience, sometimes for the first time, their local wildlife, whether it be a bird in the backyard, a flowering tree on their local street in their allowed walking time, or perhaps in the native wildlife of our wonderful national parks. We now have the chance to build on this innate inquisitiveness in our community and, like Uncle Mickey said, build on a new perspective. And it's through exhibitions like this one that communicate the beauty of our natural world that we have the opportunity to increase the appreciation of our unique wildlife. So tonight, I'm going to challenge everyone, along with spruiking the cause of the Foundation for National Parks and Wildlife, of course, and threatened species. I challenge everyone here to pick an animal that they see in one of these spectacular photos that we'll be able to see tonight and tell someone about it. Tell them about what you've seen. Bring them here to the exhibition. Go online and view the pictures themselves. Or if you're lucky enough to get out to a national park, go and see if you can see those animals or trees or wildlife yourself. Because it's only by knowing about the unique animals and wildlife that we have in Australia that we'll ever be able to save them. So thank you once again to the South Australian Museum and to Australian Geographic, of course, for this wonderful event. And on behalf of the board, the staff and all of the supporters for the Foundation for National Parks and Wildlife, I'd like to congratulate all of the winners for this amazing event. Thank you very much for allowing us to be here.
Thank you very much, Kylie, and welcome on board. Before we start getting into the main part of the evening, I actually would like to just give a quick shout out for the museum team who's made the exhibition this evening possible. We've got an amazing exhibition team. Tim Gilchrist knows nature photographer exhibition better than anybody and continues to do an amazing job, and he's got a great team with Luke Chenoweth and Mia Prorad, who in a moment you'll see the wonderful exhibition design that she's done. So big shout out for the exhibition team who've worked so hard behind the scenes for this great exhibition, but also to our development, events and catering team who've worked really hard, because what they've done tonight is within the restrictions that we have with COVID-19, and we fully understand and fully respect that, but what they've managed to achieve in observing all the rules and regulations that we have, but still delivering, I think, a great experience for all the guests that we have this evening. So a big thank you from me for the great job that you've done, so thank you for that. So now we move on. So the Nature Photographer of the Year is open to photographers of all ages, skill levels and nationalities. The Australian Geographic Nature Photographer of the Year competition grows in both quality and quantity of entries received every year. And this year we received 1,796 photographs. The competition and the exhibition are a highlight of not only this museum's calendar, but also the other museums to whom this exhibition tours. And all of the entrants, finalists and prize winners are to be truly congratulated, particularly by me, who's got no photographic talents whatsoever. They go on to enormous lengths to capture such incredibly compelling images of our natural world, depicting creatures great and small and landscapes both beautiful and terrifying and sometimes threatened, across the diverse terrain of Australia, New Zealand, Antarctica and New Guinea. Now for the part of the night that everyone has been waiting for. It's time to announce the runners-up and the winners of each category. And as always, please contain your euphoric celebrations until the final winner is announced. So first of all, we go to the animal portrait. And the runner-up of the animal portrait is Matt Clancy with Wayulda. And the winner is Richard Robinson for Leopard Anemone. And this is just the first round. Animal behaviour. The runner-up is Richard Robinson with Spawning Jewel Anemones. You might have seen that one on your invitation. And the winner is Alex Kidd, A Fever of Cownose Rays. Animal habitat. The runner-up was Raoul Slater with Firestorm, but the winner was Jari Cornelis with Storm Dragon. For botanical section, the runner-up was Nick Monk with Gondwanan Link, and the winner was Kevin DeVries with Enchanted Forest. In the landscape category, the runner-up was Carl Strand, The Main Range, and the winner was Matt Beatson, Bolt on a Stormy Ocean. In the monochrome section, the runner-up was Andy Wingate with Face Off. I think a face only a mother could love. And the winner was Charles Davis with Phil's World. The junior section, this is photographers under 18 years of age, remember? The runner-up, Robert Irwin with Scrub Python. A very brave Robert Irwin with Scrub Python. But the winner was Tess Poyner, Graceful and Green. Our Impact, which is depicting human impact on nature. The runner-up was Doug Gimpsey for Don't Forget to Check for Me. And the winner, Richard Robinson, The Wreck of the Penguins. Threatened species section. This is vulnerable, endangered or critically endangered species. The runner-up was Kevin DeVries, Facing Extinction. And the winner was Jasmine Vink with Tasmanian Devil. The Portfolio Prize, and this is the best portfolio of size or more images, was 5 or more images, was the winner was Ethan Mann. Let you focus on those for a moment. So congratulations to all of you on such compelling images. It's now my considerable honour to announce the overall winner of the Australian Geographic Nature Photographer of the Year 2020. And the overall winner was Ben Blanche with Border Fire, Mount Barney. The judges said, this image not only skillfully captures a landscape, it captures a defining moment in the modern history of Australian nature. Its raw beauty is confronting, as it documents the energy and scale of the recent bushfire crisis. In the wave of flames snaking across the mountain, we see the true scale of the fire, and for every burning tree that we see, we imagine the shrubs, the vines, the insects, the marsupials, and the birds that we can't. As another Australian fire season looms, this is a powerful reminder of the tragic summer of 2019-20. This image really depicts the reality of the bushfire season in Australia, capturing the scale and ferocity of the damage that fires can cause. Congratulations, Ben. I think a worthy and poignant winner there. Now, Ben lives in Queensland and has been unable to join us here tonight, but we do have a short video message from him that we will share with you now.
Hi, my name is Ben Blanche. I'm a photographer based in Brisbane, Queensland. Unfortunately, due to COVID, I can't be down in Adelaide at the moment to accept this award. It would have been great to be down there and meet everyone, but instead you're just going to have the virtual Ben on the video screen. The outdoors, nature and environmental photography really is a passion of mine, and I've been lucky enough to work in this full-time for the last several years. So the photograph that has won the award is of Mount Barney, which is a prominent peak here in southeast Queensland. Timing and weather conditions were pretty critical for this shot. I had a local who I know and am friends with in the area tell me and give me a heads up of how things were occurring with this fire conditions on the mountain at the time. I arrived at the location with plenty of time before the sun had gone down. This gave me a good window of time to wait for the ambient light. The whole time I was photographing was over several hours. This allowed me to photograph various changes in the conditions as the sunlight was fading and the fire was moving across the mountain. I captured this image to create a powerful connection between the viewer and the environment, and also to record such a devastating event. Since the inaugural year of the competition, I've been entering and watching, so I know the calibre of the work is incredibly high and competitive. I feel incredibly lucky myself to have taken out the overall award. This is the best news I've had this year. I'd like to thank Australian Geographic and the South Australian Museum for the award. This competition is a great platform for us nature photographers and gives us good recognition for the work we do.
Thank you, Ben. Many congratulations. I'd now like to welcome, gladly, a very frequent visitor and supporter of the museum, the Honourable Stephen Marshall MP, Premier of South Australia, to officially open Australian Geographic Nature Photographer of the Year 2020 exhibition. Welcome, Premier.
Thanks, Brian. Well, you told Tim how long he had. You didn't mention anything to me, so settle in. Can I begin by acknowledging that tonight we're meeting on the traditional lands of the Kaurna people and that we acknowledge their ongoing spiritual relationship with this precious land. Can I thank Uncle Mickey, a fellow port supporter like myself? We're very hopeful. But I also want to just thank you for always telling us a story. And tonight's story was about a father and a son travelling together. And I want to tell you about my father and son story. The first time I took my children up to Arkaroola, I said it was a short drive. And I didn't really tell them. I said, we're going to a very, very special place. And Charlie, who was a little bit older than Georgie, I could hear him sort of Googling up in the back seat of the car, and he said, Dad, this is about rocks. He didn't sound very excited. He was probably about 10 or 11 or 12 at the time. As we got closer to Arkaroola, he then tapped me on the shoulder and said, Dad, no connection here. I said, don't worry, we'll be there soon. We got to Arkaroola and he said, Dad, there's no connection here. I said, oh, it will be on in the morning. I probably need to be reported to Rachel Sanderson, the Minister for Child Protection, for lying repeatedly to my children. But can I tell you, it was the most magnificent family holiday, and they still talk about it to this day. We have got such an amazing backyard here in South Australia. And I tell you one thing, that during COVID-19, when many of us haven't been able to travel interstate or overseas for holiday or for work, and at first we thought this would be terrible because it would really impact upon our lives. I actually think there are a group of people who think this is terrible and it's impacted upon my life, but there's a group of other people that thought this is actually wonderful. And I'm now discovering my own backyard here in South Australia, and it's wonderful to see our regions filled with people getting away, looking at the wonders that we have here in South Australia. And I'm hoping that this is a pivot point for so many people who traditionally over winter travel and go away, that they can stay here in South Australia, spend some money, but most importantly, discover the wonderful nature, the wonderful geology and geography that we have in South Australia. Can I say COVID has been a really difficult time, and I do want to acknowledge everybody in this room for the contribution that you have all played to keep South Australia safe. I don't know what it says about South Australians, but I think we have the lowest level restrictions and the highest level compliance with those restrictions of anywhere in the world. We've all educated ourselves about this disease, and we've protected ourselves and our families and our communities. And so hats off to each and every one of you, and a massive hats off, of course, to Brian Oldman, the fantastic team here at the South Australian Museum. I think they were pretty much the last to close and the first to open, because they take their responsibility to share these incredible collections with the people of South Australia and those people that are visiting our state. Before I talk about this exhibition, there is somebody I would like to acknowledge who is in the audience with us tonight, and that is the Honourable Dr. Jane Lomax-Smith AM. Jane is a fantastic South Australian. She has been doing some incredible public service in this state for a very, very long period of time. First elected to the Adelaide City Council, 2 terms as the Lord Mayor, a minister in the former government. I think from the day she arrived in Parliament to the day she finished in Parliament, holding extraordinarily important portfolios, including education, science, tourism and early childhood development, as well as many others as well. When Jane finished her parliamentary career, she then threw herself at new challenges, and we are all the beneficiaries of that great hard work here at the South Australian Museum. She's been the chair of the South Australian Museum for 9 years. During that period of time, I think we have seen a wonderful transformation of this incredibly wonderful institution that we have in South Australia, a very significant increase in the visitation, the annual visitation to the museum, into the fundraising of the SA Museum, into the connections with the other institutions here in South Australia, nationally and internationally. I personally have found it an absolute joy every time I've had the opportunity to meet with Jane. She has motivated, she has educated, she has shared her passion, her knowledge with me. I'm very, very grateful, and I say to you, Jane, thank you. Earlier tonight we had a smaller group who acknowledged Jane's wonderful hard work for the SA Museum, and in typical Jane Lomax-Smith style, she said, "It's not me, it's you," to all of the other people that were there at that wonderful valedictory celebration. Yes, you have been well supported, but you are a leader and you are a contributor, and we say thank you very much. Okay, now, the Australian Geographic Nature Photographer of the Year. It is always a wonderful time on the calendar of the South Australian Museum every year. I think now in its 18th year, people are always looking forward to this time of the year to come along and to really see some of the most incredible images, and we've seen them on the screen tonight. I'd like to say a massive congratulations to all of the wonderful photographers who have entered this competition. 1,796 entries is quite extraordinary. I don't know how the three judges could narrow that down to 101 prints that are there for us to see as part of this exhibition. But a massive thank you to Michael and to Drew and to Georgina for that incredible work. And a massive congratulations to everybody who was recognised, the winners, Ben Blanche with that incredible image, that provocative image. I want to also just say thank you to all of the supporters who have made this possible. Can I also thank Tim Jarvis for his very thoughtful speech, talking about that incredible connection, that hand-in-hand connection between photography and nature, where the photographer can capture and profile nature, but can also document the plight of our environment at exactly and precisely the same time. It's no doubt that the wonderful skills of the photographers have protected the environment. They've celebrated the environment. Tonight we've already seen some wonderful, beautiful and majestic photographs, but also some terrifying images which I think really gave us a sense of foreboding about where we may go. So look, I'm very grateful to all of those who have entered. A massive congratulations to Ben Blanche, and it's now my great pleasure to declare the 2020 Australian Geographic Nature Photographer of the Year exhibition officially open. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier, for your generous words to the museum and everyone here tonight, and of course to our sponsors, and of course to Jane Lomax-Smith, our chair. So once again, many congratulations to Ben Blanche and all the category winners, runners-up and finalists. And although it's unfortunate the photographers could not be here tonight, we hope that the museum will actually be sending each of them a copy of the 2020 catalogue, and I hope that they'll be able to visit the exhibition soon. But it's not just the photographers that have the opportunity to have this catalogue, you do too. The museum shop, you'll be glad to know, is open. So make sure you leave having not only bought one for yourself, but bought at least two for your very closest of friends. Commercial plug over. So my sincere thanks to all of you who've joined us here tonight, both physically and virtually, and I congratulate all our photographers and hope to see entries from all of you again next year. The food and drink service will continue to be available, but to be COVID-19 compliant can only be served and consumed when you're seated in this area, so no food and drink in the exhibition area. But the exhibition itself is now open, and now welcome you to see that exhibition. Thank you so much for coming to the South Australian Museum and for tuning in. It's great to have you all here. Enjoy the rest of your time at the museum. Thank you so much.